Greetings and welcome to another episode of Mentorship Gold. I'm so excited to hear all your responses from the last few episodes of Mentorship Gold. And today I want to share something a little more complicated. Before we can run away with all we can understand about mentorship, I want to take time to teach you on what mentorship is not. I'm using a very broad brush to say mentorship, but I believe that this is also applicable in different scenarios. All kinds of mentors, whether it is a pastor, whether it is a spiritual father, whether it is somebody that you are paying money to get a certain coaching from. I believe this is applicable to all kinds of mentorship that you will engage with. In this episode, I want to cover about what mentorship is not. The reason why we need to talk about what it is not is so that you don't get entangled into something that is supposed to be your blessing, and yet it now turns to become something that is very hurtful because you didn't understand what it was not. One of the first things what mentorship is not is that it is not to replace God in your life. Many times we are so blessed with a personality, we are so blessed with a pastor, we are so blessed with a mentor that we began to lean so much on this individual that there is a danger where this person can replace your personal relationship with God. Anytime a mentor is not careful to lead you back into the scriptures and lead you back into seeking God and lead you back into having a personal, private time with the Lord, you are in grave danger of turning this mentor into God. There must be no man or woman that will take the place of God in your life. At the end of the day, you got to be careful that your mentorship is not taking you away from loving Jesus better, to walking with God, and to pleasing God with everything in you. The second thing that I want to share is that mentorship is not for friendship. One of the episodes I mentioned that there is a place where your mentor comes where he offers the hand of friendship. As Jesus said, from now on, I call you friends. When I mention that it is not for friendship, I'm trying to highlight that there is a sense of familiarity that creeps into a relationship that is a friendship that can stop you from effectively receiving from your mentor. I remember meeting with one of my spiritual brothers that excited me and delighted me with so many things that he exposed to me and taught to me regarding sonship. As I followed his wisdom, I turned to him and said, "You have been so kind to me. I would really love for you to be my friend." And he turned to me and he said, "Man of God, I'm so honored that you would ask me to be your friend, but I do not think that it is beneficial for me to be your friend. I believe that I can receive better if I am a brother." That statement came from a man that has a deep understanding of how certain zones can steal you away from the information that you are supposed to receive. It's all about the posture of your heart and the way you approach your mentor. The moment you lower your guard to taking him for granted or taking her for granted, you're entering into a zone where you receive nothing. So yes, be the best friend you can be, but remember to keep the posture of your heart in a position where you're consistently receiving from them. Next, mentorship is not for companionship. God looked at man and said, "It is not good for man to be alone, so he gave him a wife, not a mentor." Anytime somebody takes you under their wing, it is normal for you to feel much loved. But if love becomes your primary goal, you're looking at allowing the orphan spirit to manifest in you. Any relationship to reach its full potential must be based on love. But when that love becomes an obsession, it is the most dangerous zone you can enter into. Prepare yourself for your mentor to distance from you. Prepare yourself for your mentor to be busy. Prepare yourself that your mentor may not say the right words that you desire to hear from him or her. Prepare yourself that your mentor may not appreciate you when you really desire to be appreciated. And if there is a longing for love, what only Jesus can fill up, and you're looking that love from this individual, you are bound to be disappointed. Remember to have a realistic expectation of your mentor. Remember, your mentor is not a replacement for your biological father or mother. There are many of us that have not had the blessing of having a father or a mother in your life. And sometimes we crave to have a replacement of that individual in our church or in our lives. If you desired for a love of a father, and now you start looking for that love of a father in a husband, it is something that your husband will never be able to fulfill. So it is critical for you to understand your mentor is not a replacement of a biological need. Besides, no man can love you as a heavenly father can love you. Let me clarify, even if it is your spiritual father, please remember, he is not your biological father or father in the physical. So he may not be present to you in the physical. He may not be near to you as you would expect from a biological father, because that is a blessing that you access in the spirit. For example, your earthly father may have walked with you in the park, but don't expect the same with your spiritual father. When Apostle Paul says, I have fathered you in the gospel, for some people he did so by his written letters. Maybe you do not still have a direct access with your spiritual father, but here is a man that God is using to use his sermons, his writings, his videos to mentor you, to mold you, to walk with God. You have to be careful that you keep your expectations realistic, lest you enter into more disappointments. Ultimately, let your relationship be held together with the understanding that only Jesus is perfect. Only Jesus will never disappoint you. Everybody else are humans, and humans err. Mentorship is not for you to develop your networking and connections. Now, if you're blessed to have a good mentor, it also opens doors for you. But if you access that mentor with the motive of trying to build your contacts and networks and connections, mentorship is a platform where there should be internal growth that will force an external transformation. But if you enter into a relationship with the sole objective of external transformation, you will ignore your internal growth. In order for you to not abort your destiny, you have to resist your desire to take shortcuts. In time, when the mentor trusts you with his own connections, remember to keep that connections unadulterated. Another area that you must be careful is that mentorship is not so that you can be his equal. Many people try to conquer platforms and go places by finding a mentor that they can use then as a measuring stick to grow up to. Irrespective of how much access you receive from your mentor, irrespective of how close you have become with him, it'll never make you an equal to your mentor. I can become a president of the country, I can be appalled, I can be celebrated by the whole world, but I'm still a son to my father. The spirit of Lucifer will always push you to make you feel that you have now become an equal, because Lucifer's desire was God's throne. So be very careful that in your walk with your mentor, with your pastor, with your spiritual father, that at no place that you would begin to desire his throne. Ambition is the fastest killer of any mentorship. Make sure, no matter how much God raises you up, to always stay humble and give honor to whom honor is due. Never forget where you started from. Another area to be careful is the mentorship is not to help your mentor. Yes, you will be a blessing to your mentor, but be careful not to run ahead of yourself and start counseling your counselor. Be careful that you do not show off the passages that you have learnt by heart. It is a very risky area when you begin to step into a place where you want to prophesy to the prophet. I'm sure God can use your prophetic gift to bless your prophet, but when you begin to desire to prophesy to your prophet, you are in a very dangerous grounds. So always guard your heart and don't run ahead of your help. Now, that being said, even the shepherds, when it is winter and it gets very cold, he goes to the sheep and takes the wool from the sheep and uses that wool to keep himself warm. So, yes, your life will be a blessing to your mentor, to your pastor, to your spiritual father. I hope so. I believe so. I believe God will strengthen you to be a help. But remember to keep your motives in check all the time. If I can share one more thing, remember not to make your mentorship a complaint box. If there was one thing that God hated among Israelites, is that they always grumbled. They always complained about what was not enough. Even though all they had to do was to go to Moses and say, Moses, we are all thirsty. Can you ask God for help? And can you pray that God will take away our thirst or give us water? Instead, they took the negative approach and they started complaining about what was not enough. Another way for you to abort your mentorship is to start complaining of what is not enough. Complaining will take away what gratitude will gift you. So even before you can ask your mentor for something, would you allow appreciation, acknowledgement to go ahead of you? Recognize him for what he or she has invested into your life. Begin to thank this individual for the blessing they are to your life, and then proceed with what you desire, lest you shut a door that God has opened for your help. Let me conclude with a precious tip. Every time you meet your mentor, it is your moment to grow. So be careful what you engage with. I probably cover this in a greater detail in one of the upcoming episodes. So if you have one moment, and if you have one question that you could ask, if you have a few minutes, be sure to protect what you say. Let it not be a ventilation. Let it not be you talking away about how beautiful the weather is. Be precise, be clear. Acknowledge that that is a moment that can change your destiny, and take the best advantage of time. I hope this helped you. If it did, leave me a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts, your questions. I want to take this opportunity to lend you a deeper support. If you have a situation or a scenario that you would like to throw light on and want to understand how to tackle this certain situation, write to me on this email on the screen and let me know what exactly the scenario you are in, and briefly tell me the background of that story, and I'll try my best to cover your question in one of the upcoming episodes. Until next episode, God bless.